to be banning first here in this matchup. It'll be Team Secret with the ban, so they'll go ahead and set the tempo of this draft. Rome, you talked a little bit about how Rebirth might look to rework things, be a little more aggressive. Do you think that when they come in here, they're more like sticking to their game plan, or do you think that they're going to try and counter out some of Team Secret's plays?
Well, honestly, going up against Team Secret, like, if I were the opponent, my first idea would be to try and secure something that puts them off of that soft push comp. And this is exactly what they're doing. You see them highlighting Adagio here, so they do have like an initiate for this. They do have a plan to approach them.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Adagio is probably the strongest ban there. And we've seen some teams even do like the Saw pick as kind of that second ban against them. But I think once Adagio is out of the picture, it's a really big deal because they use it in so many different ways to great effect. Cruel, the first pickup here, signaling a little bit more of a late game strat maybe coming out. Do you think you have any ideas here where it's going?
Yeah, so when Team Secret doesn't play the Saw push comp, they're going to be playing the Scarf Cruel comp. I would call it that. And they've been executing it so well. With Palmatoro playing this Cruel especially, we always notice him going out that Tribe Rush with his heroic perk up. He makes the most amazing plays in terms of knowing his character limitations and always executing out to the T. Yeah,
definitely. And when we talk about that Cruel Scarf comp, which we've seen used to great effect, what makes it really so strong in your opinion?
Just the way they position themselves. They build Cruel as a heavy hitter in that early game just to get from that early to mid game. And then later on, he's pretty much played as a bruiser, while Scarf is always standing that back line, making sure he's getting his poke off, he's making sure he's getting all his skills and abilities in the right directions.
Definitely. And as we're talking about this composition coming out, Rebirth are right on top of it. They've done the research, and they're going to pick the Scarf up themselves. So that's a ban in a sense here as they take it for their composition. But how do you think the Scarf Koshka works out here?
It actually works out very well for them, as long as Koshka is able to maintain that early jungle pressure, pretty much putting the enemy onto their own rotations and making sure that they have the pace of the game controlled from that early to that mid game. Scarf has an easy time transitioning to that late game. Only the thing here is they do have a Ringo on Team Secret's side, so you can expect them to be rotating down a lot, which actually gives an edge out to that Cruel.
Definitely. Well, I mean, Cruel, he's going to have to be a target for these guys. Take him out early in a fight if they can. If he is allowed to get those stacks up, continue through the fight, it could be devastating. Catherine, the last pickup here, and we're going to see what Rebirth Empire want to round out their composition with. Not a lot of roams left in the pool here. What do you think they pull the trigger on?
To be honest, an Arden fits really well here, just because he's able to throw that gauntlet down later on. You're either going to be using that one reflex block on the Ringo to get out of the gauntlet, or you're going to be stuck with Koshka's ultimate. And this gives them a good chance to lock down the range carry coming out of the Team Secret team.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that this is, signals the Crucible out of Catherine? Does it force her into that item? Do they look to just go with, a standard progression and maybe just be very careful? How do you think that they approach that?
Mowgli playing this Catherine, I don't think he's going to actually try and force that early game Crucible. Instead, he's probably going to grab a Fountain, jump right into a Warhorn, and then probably get some cooldown reduction to help his team out in terms of like engaging very early.
All right, well, we'll keep our eyes on that. We've loaded into the Halcyon Fold, and with that, we'll toss it to our casters. Action Jackson, Vedius, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, guys. I'm super excited to be here for the final day of the second qualifier. Unfortunately, I had to take a brief hiatus yesterday. Forecourt filled in for me, but I'm back, and I'm looking forward to these games. Vedius, how about you?
Yeah, it should be some good games. And what a surprise, eh? Having Team Secret. I bet you weren't expecting this to come back and not seeing Team Secret in the finals. They are actually playing in the third place match. This is a bit of a rematch between Team Secret and Rebirth of Empire. We saw these two play in the finals of the Autumn Live Championship, but here they are. Now both of them fighting for third place and for seeding in the Live Championships that are going to be taking place later in March. So crazy stuff, really. Some major upsets, and we've got some pretty great Vainglory coming up for the viewers at home this evening here in Europe.
I have to admit, I was more than a little bit salty watching the games yesterday and not being able to cast Team Secret in that series. Man, the fact that they were knocked into this third, fourth place game really took me, and I'm sure a lot of people, by surprise. But focusing on the match at hand, We are going to see Nettet Toilette here coming onto Mowgli, but Palmatoro is waiting the wings. Look at the damage on Upfire. He's in a tough spot. Easily going to get taken down. Palmatoro with the first blood in this series. Now Nettet trying to get out of here. Could be a bit of a challenge given that Palmatoro does have a lot of damage at his disposal. He's trying to juke back and forth, but that's going to be the double kill coming through. 2 quick ones going over Team Secret.
You can see Rebirth of Empire, they wanted to start off strong. They wanted to try and shut Team Secret down in the early game by making that aggressive play. With the Koshka, with the Arden, you do have that potential to make these sort of plays, but Team Secret were prepared for it. They put the scout trap down in preparation. They played around that scout trap to get a bit of additional damage. They initiate the fight, set it up perfectly, and now they're the ones being the aggressors. Team Secret with a fantastic start to kick off this 3rd place match.
Indeed it was, and they're going to be looking to snowball this from here. I can tell you that much. We know exactly how aggressive these guys like to be. They like to keep the pressure on, push the tempo a little bit, and try and close out the game sooner rather than later. Looking up towards the lane as well, worth noting the fact that Great Khali is doing a decent job against Qualifier, even though he's on that Ringo, currently sitting at a higher CS value. They're looking for a gank as well, but Qualifier playing it safe. Gonna be sticking towards the top side of that lane by his turret. Mowgli comes through here, but Nettet's got his number.
Oh, Mowgli
Actually,
he seems to be going in for Upfire.
Whoa, that's a lot of damage right down onto Upfire. The smite not quite bringing it home, but Qualifier sprints on in, finds that last tap, picks up the 3rd kill for his team. Team Secret doing a great job in this early game.
They certainly are. Team Secret once again reading Rebirth of Empire like a book. They knew exactly what Rebirth of Empire were trying to do, trying to collapse down onto Qualifier. Team Secret were ready. They turn around for the collapse. They get the stun down once again onto Upfire, preventing him from being able to do anything. Nettet, though.
Whoa! Qualifier! 1 versus 2 under the tower. Where is Great Khali? He did not help at all during that dive. Now he's in trouble. Qualifier wants more. One more. Oh, he does it! This guy is a monster. He gets away on almost no health. That was crazy, Vedius.
Qualifier comes in with the highlight reel play 3.5 minutes into the very first game of this series. Team Secret, they are here to tell other teams a message. Yes, we lost our series yesterday, but we are not a team that you can underestimate, because Qualifier, he is pulling out all the stops today.
He really is, and now Upfire's in a bit of a bad spot, juking it out with Palmatoro, but he doesn't realize Mowgli is right nearby. Nettet coming in to try and help out, but Qualifier, he just picked up several kills. He is strong as all get out right now, and he finds himself yet another one along with Palmatoro. This is 6 kills in 4.5 minutes. Team Secret snowballing it like crazy.
Upfire just trying to keep up with this aggression, and he's being punished so heavily for it. It didn't work out in the early game, didn't work out with the play that he tried to make up in the lane, and it's not worked out for a 3rd time in a row. How many times does it take before you need to learn that that aggressive play is not going to work against this Team Secret lineup, especially when Qualifier is holding 2 members by himself and getting away with it, as Palmatoro now being the aggressor.
He is. He's taking a decent chunk of damage here, though. Maybe Upfire can finally turn something around. Meanwhile, Qualifier finds one. Palmatoro building up those weakness stacks, trying to win this duel, but they're going to fall off. He goes down. Palmatoro bites off more than he can chew. It's the first kill coming through for Rebirth of Empire.
Absolutely ridiculous game so far. Qualifier getting another kill up in the lane. That's going to be another one for him. And Palmatoro now the one being the over-aggressor, but he manages to get some back camps for himself. So it's not too bad, because he's going to get that gold, he's going to deny the experience from Upfire, and he's pretty much going to maintain that advantage that he has over that Koshka. So still good plays from Team Secret, and this is the Team Secret that we're used to seeing. This is why so many times we have seen this Kroll be banned away from them, but Qualifier really is the main man in this game because he is stepping up.
He is absolutely stepping up, and you know, the players were joking in the lobby. They were like, can we decide this match based on a Ringo 1 versus 1 between Qualifier and Great Khali? I think it's probably a good thing that that didn't happen for Rebirth of Empire, because Qualifier's Ringo is off the chain.
Certainly is. Yesterday, Qualifier didn't have the greatest performance, but he's going to make that up with the Hellfire Brew.
Oh, man. Yeah, he's coming right in, trying to pick up the kill. We've got Upfire here, though. It's a 3 versus 3. Massive damage already down onto the Rebirth members, and they need to book it out of here, though. I'm not sure they're going to be able to. Netted Toilette slowed up. Qualifier has got his eyes on the prize, though, trying to close that gap with Great Khali. Netted Toilette gets away from Hell's Heart, comes through, and Great Khali's going to be going down. That's the 8th kill now to Team Secret, and they're picking up the ones that matter. Not chasing down the roamer, going for Great Khali. They seem unstoppable right now.
Secret so confident that they give away a free kill. They're just like, we will let you live this time, but next time we will not be as forgiving. Team Secret on fire in this early game. Only a small gold advantage, but given the amount of pressure that they're applying, it doesn't feel that way.
Dude, Qualifier takes down another one. Upfire, he is gonna go down. We've already got the Sorrow Blade on Qualifier. Each attack is doing something crazy like a 5th or a 6th of people's health. How do you deal with that? I mean, it's just too much damage.
You just need to stop dying to Qualifier. You have a Scarf who can clear the waves from range. You can just consistently apply that poke. And typically in this matchup that we've seen in the past, yes, it does go in the favor of the Ringo, but you can get around it by just playing passively. And Great Khali just trying too often to make those plays with Netted Toilette, and he's being punished so heavily for it. But you have to give mad props to Qualifier as well. He knows when he can be aggressive. He knows when it's safe for him to step up, take a cheeky Achilles shot, and then get a few auto attacks off the back of that. He is just playing this Ringo to perfection, and he is making it work for Team Secret in Game 1.
He really is, and you know, it's worth looking at the gold here too. 13.7k to the 12.2 of Rebirth of Empire. They're getting a decent lead at this point. They just got to make sure they capitalize on it. Team Secret, one thing we've talked about before is that sometimes they're a bit slow on the uptake when it comes to snowballing it into a turret or some kind of map objective. We're seeing that a little bit here. I mean, with the kind of kill lead on Qualifier that we're seeing, you would expect them to be putting on the pressure and really going for the gold. Mowgli now in a bit of a bad spot, but with that speed boost, he gets away. Netted Toilette, gotta be careful here. That's gonna be another one going down. Qualifier, Mowgli's ultimate not even needed. Man, Qualifier, he is just, I mean, he is carrying right now. That is the only way of describing it. He is carrying real hard.
Well, you say that, but while that action was going on, Palmatoro walked into the enemy jungle, level 7 to the level 8 Upfire, straight up stole the back camps, 1v1 Upfire, picked himself up the minion miner, and now he's just going to take the rest of Rebirth of Empire's jungle. You say that Qualifier is carrying, but Palmatoro, he's definitely no slacker.
Yeah, that is very true. It is a team effort coming through from Team Secret right now. Oh, excuse me. Rebirth of Empire trying to make some plays. Not able to make anything happen so far. Goldmine might be their ticket, though. Mowgli, the only one particularly close. Palmatoro trying to close the gap. Can they steal this one away? No, sir. Upfire gonna pick that one up. And actually, without Qualifier nearby, they don't want to commit to the kills, so it looks like Rebirth of Empire do find themselves finally something good. Qualifier in a 1 versus 2. Can he find the kills? He is doing a ridiculous amount of damage, but he's got to respect Netted, and he is going to be backing away.
So Qualifier, once again, 2 versus 1, able to put the damage down and still come out with his life. Netted Toilette, though, needs to be careful as Mowgli goes a little bit aggressive, but that's just a bit of supportal combat. Nothing too much going to come off the back of that. But well played by Rebirth of Empire, noting that they had the position advantage and they knew that Qualifier had also just gone back to base to pick up a couple of extra items so they could easily pick up that gold miner, and the fact that Mowgli just didn't have the energy to really contest meant a easy secure for Rebirth of Empire. So well played by them. But right now, gold advantage still in the favor of Team Secret, and as you were saying, it's now a matter of how are they going to close things out, because their siege isn't as strong when you're going up against the ridiculous wave kid that's on Scarf, so you're going to have to try and shut that Scarf down as quickly as possible as Netted Toilette gets collapsed on.
Yeah, but Qualifier's too low to flow, and this time they're not going to get anything from it. Team Secret got to be kind of wary about this game going too late, given the fact that they're against this Scarf. We've seen what happens with Scarves in the late game. They can become monsters and just mow through your team with the Dragon's Breath. Be interested to see Team Secret try and push their edge a little bit here.
You have to remember that Upfire is also beginning to fall off. He didn't get the early game that he needed. He's currently sitting at 1 and 5. Only just now completed the Aftershock, so he will be doing some damage. But can you compete with Qualifier?
Well, certainly Net Toilette by himself can't. He is going to be going down there. That's the 12th kill now. They're still sitting at over a kill a minute for Team Secret. But they need to be careful here about going under the turret when we've got Upfire with the Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Might be able to counter-engage. Looks like Palmatoro is going to prioritize stealing away these back camps yet again.
So I just want to highlight Qualifier on the stat sheet that we saw from him yesterday was rocking a 9.95 CS per minute. And today, he is on 136 farm at just under 12 minutes. That is over 10 CS per minute. That is ridiculous. That is actually, that's almost like he hasn't missed farm, a single one of them. That's insane. And you
Whilst
get
also getting 602. It is pretty nuts, but you know, he's got to turn that into something sooner rather than later. Mowgli here baiting in Upfire a little bit. Palmatoro gets from Hell's Heart down. Qualifier doing great damage onto several members, finds that first kill. You can see now with 3 members against 2, they might be looking to go for a push here. Mowgli just jumping forward. Net Toilette, look at the damage. Qualifier wants this kill, but the gauntlet used defensively. Hellfire Brew it, finds it. That's 2 quick ones for Team Secret. And they finally get that first turret we've been talking about for so long.
Well, solid game plan there from Team Secret. They get the pick onto Upfire. They have the numbers advantage. Easy setup for Siege. They're going for the dive now.
Yeah, they're trying to get Great Kali. That's the stun coming through. Qualifiar's got the damage in the back pocket to find that one. Upfire can't turn it around. He, on the other hand, does not have anywhere near enough damage right now. 15 kills to 1 right now. Team Secret are snowballing the game. They've extended that about 1,000 lead from earlier to a massive lead. They are almost 5k ahead at this point.
They certainly are. This is simply Team Secret doing what they tried to do yesterday against SK Prometheus and were unsuccessful, but coming into today, as I was saying earlier, they wanted to demonstrate that yesterday was just a blip. It was a bit of a mistake, but they are still the powerhouse of Europe. And coming into the live championships, they are still a team that everybody needs to fear. And if they can maintain a performance like this, then I think teams will continue to fear them in the future.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you heard the hosts talk about it earlier on. It's a super important game for both these teams because 2 seeds worth does ride on the line here. The thing is, though, that Team Secret, you can't forget at the last championships, they were the team to come in at the bottom seed and win the entire thing. You know, they're definitely showing that it doesn't really matter what position they're in. They can still put on a strong performance. And they're not letting it get to their heads, too. I mean, for a lot of teams, losing like they did yesterday might be kind of crushing. Their trademark push comp fell flat. But these guys have bounced back in a big way and are looking to continue the pressure. Mowgli, he's going for a bit of pressure under the turret right now, but it's a bit too deep for Team Secret to dive on there. Net Toilette, got to be careful about going in. You can see Mowgli wants to counter-engage. Look at the damage onto Upfire. Hellfire Brew coming across. The Fountain of Renewal keeping him safe for now. Net Toilette, on the other hand, in a bad spot, just barely able to get away. Feels like Rebirth of Empire is struggling to find any good fights right now. Look at Great Kali. Boom, headshot coming out from Qualifier. That's 2. Mowgli, ultimates for style points. And another turret going down to Team Secret.
Simply great execution from Team Secret. There's very little to add other than that, simply due to the way that they are consistently getting great tower dives off thanks to their beautiful kiting back at the initial fight. They realized, okay, we can't land our crowd control onto the targets that we want, but we do know that a lot of reflex blocks have been burnt when they were just dancing back and forth in the jungle. Then when the minion wave comes and they're looking to set up the dive, they now know that there are no more defensive items available for Rebirth of Empire. They immediately collapse down onto Great Kali after they saw Upfire was forced back. And then with Great Kali gone, it is simply a matter of easy cleanup for Team Secret. Just great execution from them once again, and this is very much the Team Secret that we are used to seeing. Clean, crisp, and perfect execution.
I just want to re-highlight something you highlighted earlier, which is Qualifier's farm. 193 at 16 minutes. In a 17-kill game. He hasn't died yet. He's got 10 of those kills. I mean, Qualifier, we've talked a lot about Team Secret and how Qualifier is kind of the silent carry, I guess, on their team sometimes. Mowgli gets these big hooks. You know, he puts up consistently a solid performance, but never necessarily a standout one. This is an exception to that rule.
I would say that it's just when it comes to... Hang on a second, NetTet.
He's not got a chance, man. He is instantly going to go down from Hell's Heart onto Great Kali. Obliterated right there. Umpire can't even make it back to the base platform. I think, to be honest, Team Secret are looking to end this game right now, potentially in less than 17 minutes. What a crushing performance coming out of them. Rebirth of Empire, they're going to have to pull up their bootstraps and come up with something pretty big to turn this series around.
They certainly are. This is a tough mountain to climb for Rebirth of Empire, given how dominant Team Secret looked in that game. And I just want to come back to the point that you made where Qualifier really the shining star in this game. Typically, when we think of Team Secret, we think of coordinated teamwork. We think of great macro rotations, good vision control, and it's not necessarily that there's a standout player, because they all just work so well as a team that there's not really an opportunity for anyone to make that highlight plays. But today, I do feel that Qualifier was really the standout. 11, 0, and 5, 204 farm at just under 17 minutes. He had so many items so early on into the game. Qualifier really was the most valuable potato in this game.
He also had almost double the gold of the second highest person in the game. To talk a little bit about how that happened and why Qualifier ran away with that game in such a big way, let's hear a little bit more from Roman Humanist. Guys, what happened there?
All right, thanks Action Jackson and Vedius. That was a great way to get out the gates here on our finals day. And Rome, Team Secret, they were not holding anything back there. 20-1 in a 17-minute game. Absolutely beautiful performance from them. I think Rebirth of Empire can maybe thank SK Prometheus for kicking the hornet's nest yesterday and getting these guys woken back up. But yeah, can you break it down for us? I mean, how did they accomplish that? It just looked like from A to Z that they were on point.
Honestly, that game was set standard, and this is something that we pointed out yesterday in terms of Pomotoro in that jungle. We saw, like, okay, you have a Cruel, you have a very passive scaling comp in that jungle. Your early game is very slow, but they end up getting a bunch of these early game kills, and they set the pace against like a very jungle aggressive Koshka. And this just leaves all the time in the world for Qualifier up in that lane. Noticing that his CS, and this is not something that's rare. We actually see it coming out of Qualifier a lot. So he is one of the players that we have to highlight coming into this next game.
Oh yeah.
His CS has always been on point, and kill participation up to his CS per minute. This is one of those players that just because he doesn't stand out as much, it's not because he's being overshadowed, but it's because their team plays so well as a unit. The synergy and how they rotate together, it just clicks so much where you can't individually like point out one specific person.
Yeah, definitely. I think Qualifier was just an outstanding performance. You know, for the Ringo fans out there, the Ringo players, that's a really cool game to watch and see how you can really dominate on that hero. I think one of the, you know, from my perspective, one of the big things in that matchup was that early rotation when Koshka Arden came into the jungle. They walked right into that bush next to the minion mine, and that's when they got engaged on. They were looking for the engage, but it went the other way, allowing Cruel to get the first 2 kills, or Secret got the first 2 kills, Cruel got one of them, and just starting off, like you said, with the advantage, which was really unfortunate because it was the other team that was looking for the aggression.
And they were prepared for this. They know that the Koshka is going to try and invade them. They know that they're going to try and play their early power spikes. And Team Secret was fully and mentally prepared. And to be honest, when I don't see them on the sub push comp, although I was highly fascinated like during the first few times that they did play it, now I prefer that they play a bunch of different compositions. They show us the like choose unique like identity in terms of how they're approaching the drafting phase and how they execute out these game styles.
Yeah, I think sometimes you know, you get into these competitive moments, and especially in a game like that, you want to just revert to your comfort picks, things that have worked for you consistently. You have a very high win rate. We know that they've had so much success with that composition, but you know, the other team just being fully prepared for that, they stopped them dead in their tracks. And you know, they'll keep it in their back pocket, but I think going forward, like the saw push comp is going to be something that has to come out as like a counter to something you see that you can run it against, right? Like you start to build into that, and they're going to know they're going to be able to counter it. So it has to be a little more of a surprise.
Yeah, and it's not something that's been around for a few weeks. It's been around for a whole season. This is something that they have to take into fact that their opponents are going to be like a bunch of like top teams in the European regions that have a lot of practice against this, that are mentally going into these games prepared.
Yeah, definitely. So Rebirth of Empire coming into the second game. We're going to break down these compositions, and hopefully they get a little bit stronger draft or execute. I do believe we have draft ready, so we'll go ahead and bring that up right now. Hop right into it, and Rebirth of Empire will be able to set the pace here with the first ban. Do you think that they approach it with the same type of strategy and look to execute better? Do you think that they come with a little bit different angle here?
To be honest, going first and banning first, taking out that Crow was a great choice on their behalf, and then trying to secure an Adagio as a flex pick for the Rebirth of Empire side is probably the best way to go in this scenario.
I think that makes a lot of sense there. Team Secret, now if you're approaching this, they only have a couple seconds, so this ban's going to come out. Same ban as the first game, so Fortress banned out here. They're not going to allow that aggression to come out of Rebirth, either from the jungle or roam position. And so much success we've seen out of Fortress lately, so it makes a lot of sense there. So Rebirth, you say maybe a Adagio flex pick. If that's not the pick, what else would you think they go with?
To be honest here, like, I think the Adagio is the best because Team Secret, they're very good at not showing us their weaknesses. In terms of, we know what kind of compositions they're good at, we know what kind of compositions they fall onto. But it was that first time yesterday when Team Secret played that duel up in the lane with the Ringo in the jungle, where I did find like, okay, maybe pushing them off of their comfort picks does land them onto something more weaker in terms of how they're picking up compositions or how they're going through that draft phase. But if you're going to give them that Adagio, you have to be prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, definitely. And they let it slip through, but they pick up the Catherine, so maybe they're trying to bait them into that saw push comp there. Either way, it looks like it's probably not going to happen, as we see Blackfeather actually highlighted. So it's going to be a Ringo pickup here, which we know obviously Qualifier just dominated on. You back him up with an Adagio, and Roan, tell us about the power there.
So right now it's looking as though they are going to be playing a buff composition out, and this is going to make Ringo that much more deadly. In order to actually combat against this, they have to play very smart in that that lane in the early game, and in my honest opinion, grab somebody in the jungle that is very dominant. With Adagio and perhaps Arden or a Finn, they do have that invade capability coming out of the Rebirth of Empire side.
Yeah, definitely. So you think that we'll have the lane Ringo with Adagio down in the jungle? Sometimes they flip that around, because I know Qualifier has been known to run that kind of core Adagio for them from time to time. But they're highlighted on that Arden. We're waiting for the Rebirth of Empire to round out this composition. But with Catherine and Koshka here, we see a huge ability to get on someone and just stun lock them down.
Yeah, so Catherine and Koshka here is actually very good picks coming out of the Rebirth of Empire side. It provides them with that early game pressure and that capability to just keep constantly engaging over and over again. But I especially like this Glaive pick coming out of the Rebirth of Empire as their last one. It gives them the opportunity to quickly do a lot of ganks up in the lane, especially during that early laning phase where Ringo does need that time to ramp up. As long as they're always putting pressure onto the Team Secret jungle, they have a great chance. But the thing here, if Ringo is able to keep himself positioned in a way where he is grabbing those heals and buffs coming out of his allies, he will be unstoppable, and he probably might get more kills than he did last game for Qualifier.
Yeah, it's definitely got the potential. We've seen teams break this buff comp down, but let's jump right into the Halcyon Fold as we have loaded into the game and see how this all plays out. We'll toss it over to our casters, Action Jackson and Vedius. Take it away.
All right, thanks again, guys. Man, that last game was just explosive. It was over in a flash. I cannot believe we're already on to game 2 of this series. Feels like things are just flying on by, but the question I'm wondering here is, can Team Secret close it out in 2 games, or are we going to see it go to 3 like we did yesterday with them? Rebirth of Empire might be able to pull this one back, but not if they let Qualifier go off like that again.
Well, have a look at Qualifier. He's literally taken 2/3 of Great Cardi's health as the lane immediately starts. This is already a rough matchup for Great Kali as it is. You know, you have the range versus melee advantage going in favor of Qualifier. He showed how dominant he was yesterday. In game 1, and he's looking to do the same thing in game 2 here. Great Kali already having to call assistance up, but at the same time, Rebirth, their whole composition is revolved around shutting down Qualifier. Team Secret have read this though.
Yeah, they have, and they're going to try and counter that gank. Lots of damage onto NetTed Toilette and Upfire. And you see Qualifier didn't even take that much because of Palmatoro's heal, so a good return there from Team Secret. Again, Rebirth of Empire. They're finding themselves in a bit of a tough spot.
Well, they didn't lose anyone, so they're doing better than game 1 at the very least. And at least their aggression is a little bit more calculated, but again, Rebirth of Empire are just getting read like a book. Team Secret, they play, as we said, they've played these guys before. In the live championships, this was the final match. I honestly think Qualifier has found Upfire.
Yeah, and Upfire, no hope of getting out of that one. He is going to be going down. You got to stay with your jungle buddy in this early game or you're going to be wiped out. Team Secret finding first blood 2 games in a row.
Well, Team Secret start as they mean to go on. They've actually rotated Palmatoro up into the lane to get a bit of farm on him. And the thing that I wanted to mention at the start of this is, unfortunately, due to some technical issues, you weren't able to cast it, but Great Kali had a phenomenal glaive game last week where he was able to get a 1 versus 3 to turn the game around, and it's how Rebirth of Empire were able to secure their spot here in the semi-finals. So maybe Great Kali's looking to repeat that kind of performance once again, but Qualifier, if he has anything to say about it.
Yeah, he's not going to be letting that one happen easily. Great Kali in a bit of a tough spot here. One auto attack from Palmatoro does do a decent chunk of damage, but not enough to find the kill. That said, Great Kali, he's in a spot where it might be kind of difficult to find farm at the moment. If he walks up even a little bit, I'm sure Qualifier will just be bursting him down. NetTed Toilette trying to help out. Oh, that was close. The Achilles shot nearly gets the kill, and he goes. Why would you walk back in there? Qualifier easily able to pick that one up. 2 quick kills coming through for Team Secret this game. It's not happening quite as fast as last time, but it's still happening in a big way.
2 kills in 3 minutes. You, as Team Secret,
They're
you're
slacking.
definitely... Yeah, they are certainly slacking, but you know who isn't slacking? Qualifier when it comes to farm, maintaining that record. Hang on, though, Upfire, he's found Palmatoro.
He has, but Palmatoro running back towards his turrets puts them in a bit of a bad spot. Qualifier wants to find NetTed Toilette. Look at the damage. He flushes him right down the NetTed Toilette, and Upfire is also going to fall on the backside. They do get 1 return kill down onto Palmatoro, but it's just a drop in the bucket.
So the question is now for Team Secret is, last game, they only lost 1 member, which was Palmatoro, and in this game, are they going to be able to repeat it? Will they be able to get another 16 kills following the death of Palmatoro? You have to remember that the composition coming out from Rebirth is all about killing Qualifier. They have a huge amount of mobility, they have plenty of lockdown and displacement, they have the perfect composition to kill Qualifier, but can they do it? Can they position in a way that enables them to do so? And yesterday, with Rebirth of Empire, there were a lot of questionable engages coming out from this glaive pick that Afterburn's not really being utilized in the way that they needed them to, and G2 were able to secure themselves the win. So has Rebirth of Empire adjusted that and fixed those issues coming into this game against Team Secret?
Well, at least for the time being, it's hard to see it that way, as Team Secret are sitting at about an 800 gold lead, doing a great job in this early game. Qualifier is very strong already with that Sorrow Blade. At under 5 minutes, he is a massive threat. We've got the 3 versus 3 developing here in the lane, but I'm sure Rebirth are just going to be backing away immediately. Upfire almost gets taken out there. Very hard for Rebirth of Empire to do anything under this turret if they don't find a perfect afterburn onto Qualifier, and he's already drawn tower aggro. So, struggle right now is very real for those guys. Ooh, Qualifier. The turret does deal a pretty hefty amount of damage to him, though.
First world problems where you have too much damage and you can't decide whether or not to kill all of the enemies or the turrets, so you try to do both and you end up getting punished for it. But Qualifier, he is going to be able to walk away from that, currently sitting on a 25 CS advantage over his lane counterpart. And he is certainly doing work once again in the early game. They're running a bit of a fast push composition with this Ringo, obviously not taking the turret as quickly as you would with a sword, but spending a lot of time up in the lane and doing what they can to shut Great Kali down, prevent him from really being involved. And goodbye, Upfire. It was nice knowing you.
Oh, man. Upfire just got uprooted. Big damage coming out of Qualifier. He is in a very strong position to keep this one rolling. Pomotoro's got to be careful up in the lane, though. Great Kali doesn't want to commit. Mowgli comes in from the flank. Great Kali has to just afterburn away. Nettet Toilette doesn't have any mobility left, though. He is going to be going down. You're very immobile when you're dead. I think we can agree on that one.
What is it? The best crowd control is death. It was just a great flank from Mowgli coming in from the rear to land that gauntlet, forcing Great Kali to use the afterburn to escape. Meant that Net Toilette had no escape. Upfire trying to defend this turret.
This is just dumb. I mean, look at the Hellfire Brewer. There's no reflex block yet, so easy pickup for Qualifier. They find a turret way earlier than last game. They are snowballing their lead into these objectives this time around. I hate to say it, Betty, I think last game Team Secret were just warming up, and this is them at full force, which is kind of a scary thing to think about.
Team Secret are renowned for using this Adagio in particular. Yes, they are very well known for the sword push comp, but in particular it is this use of the Adagio to provide the support to enable that sword to do what he does so well is what Team Secret are so good at doing. And replace the sword with a Ringo, replace the Finn with an Arden, but that Adagio does not change, and it still works wonders when you put it in this Team Secret lineup, and it just allows Qualifier to just go to town because he just has so much support from the rest of his team. And this is what we were talking about, though. You know, and you heard it from Rome, you heard it from us in the first game. Qualifier, yes, he is someone that sometimes slips under the radar, but that's not because he's underperforming. It is because the team that is Secret consistently work together to enable Qualifier to do what he does best.
And he is doing it pretty darn well this game. 5 for 1. Mowgli, on the other hand, whiffs that gauntlet just a little bit. Don't worry, no one saw, and I didn't bring it up. Twitch chat are going to be kind.
Just a bit of an oopsie, that's all. It's, okay. Right now, though, Team Secret do have the positional advantage, looking to siege up onto this turret.
They're doing a lot of damage to it very quickly. Great Kali and Nettet don't have the backup of fire, so they can't defend it. Qualifier has to be careful, though. This is going to be the engagement. Yummy Catnip Frenzy comes down. Qualifier in a tough spot. He finally falls. This is the fight the Rebirth of Empire have been needing for a long time. Mowgli going to pop those boots, try and run away, but I'm pretty sure his fate is sealed. It's going to be 2 kills for none. Rebirth of Empire in a decent spot off the back of that one, but they've got a lot of work to do to come back into the game as a whole.
They certainly do, but still great start for Rebirth of Empire. Exactly the way you want to be using this team composition. Lock down Qualifier, prevent him from doing the damage that will carry Team Secret to victory by using the best crowd control in the game, which is death. I'm not entirely sure if he had the reflex block before that fight, but he definitely did not have an opportunity to use it if he did have it available. So very unfortunate for Qualifier, a little bit of an overextension. Team Secret, now that they have fallen to that fight, we need to pay close attention to how they adapt, because positioning for Qualifier is going to be important to prevent this lockdown coming onto Qualifier in particular.
So you could say that he went to Qualifier up the lane?
Yes, you could say that, but let's not. As
I thought that one was good. It was organic.
Well, I was just allowing you to carry on, crack on. Take it away.
All right, check out Qualifier right now doing a ton of damage to everyone who steps even just a little bit out of line, a little bit too close to the members of Team Secret. He's mowing through that turret as well. He's forcing the hand of Rebirth of Empire right now, but are they going to be able to turn this one around? Gauntlet keeps the members from reinforcing Nettet Toilette. And if they just go for the turret, I think they're going to be able to find it. Qualifier needs one more attack. They get it. That's going to be 3 turrets so far picked up for the side of Team Secret. They're not quite as far in the lead as they were last game, I would guess, but you know, they're still pretty far in the lead. About 6,500 gold in the lead.
And I really want to highlight Mowgli right there. Using that gauntlet was just phenomenal. Exactly what Team Secret needed to do, because it cut off NetTet Toilette from the rest of his team, which meant that when NetTet Toilette looked for the engage, there was absolutely no follow-up because that gauntlet cut off the rest of Rebirth of Empire, and it secured the tower for Team Secret. Really great execution, and just mad props to Mowgli, because that was really well played.
Yeah, bought them at just the time that they needed, and I have to admit, Mowgli, we're not used to seeing him on this Arden quite as much. I mean, we see him on that Finn a great deal, but showing that he can play a pretty diverse range of things so far. This time around, though, Team Secret, with the turret leads in such a big way, are in a pretty good spot to carry on this snowball. I'm just wondering when they are going to find their next break. Do it sooner rather than later.
They have the positional advantage. Warhorn just got popped. They know that, given the vision that they have, they knew that Rebirth was in the bottom half of the jungle, so they could just look to siege up into the lane. They're going for the fight.
They are indeed, but the Yummy Cat at Frenzy goes on to Qualifier. He's going to pop the reflex block now. Look at the distance he builds himself with the boots. Stun control, it hits all three people. Palmatoro with the God Ultimate. That said, it's still a 1-for-1 right now. Great Kali and Upfire looking for a little bit more. Mowgli, blood for blood, finds one. He's got the Vanguard. This is the nightmare scenario up against an Arden. It is very difficult to take him down. 2 for 2 so far. Mowgli not going to be giving away that ace. Neither will Great Kali. And see, there's still potential here for Rebirth of Empire to pick good fights.
Mowgli.
He's playing with fire, man. Playing with fire. Gotta be careful.
No, Fire's dead, mate. Fire's dead. He's actually playing with
Great
Kali.
Oh,
but
man.
These fights are getting much closer now between the two teams. Qualifier getting collapsed upon too much from the side of Team Secret. He's not getting adequate peel. Mowgli now has the Crucible, so he's going to be able to provide better protection for Qualifier, which is going to be absolutely massive. Now that the infusions have been picked up, Mowgli could look to go for that aggressive play. Not going to use it, but he is actually going to block a very early Crucible, and that's now going to be on cooldown for 35 seconds, so they're going to have to wait for that before they go for the next fight. But it is super important that Qualifier is free to get as much damage off as possible. Ends up being a 2 for 2 overall. Team Secret still hold the momentum lead. Question is, are they going to be able to capitalize on it? Because Rebirth of Empire definitely putting up a stronger fight this game.
They are still about 7,000 gold behind, though, and that's a big number. If they can keep getting on Qualifier, maybe they can bring this one back. We'll see. Rebirth of the Empire strikes back.
We'll have to wait and see. Mowgli looking for the engage.
Yeah, they are going to find that first stun onto Qualifier. There's a second one, too. The reflex block not coming through as early as maybe it needed to. Gauntlet buys him a lot of space, though, and Mowgli's just tanking things up on the front line. Upfire wants to go back in here, but Qualifier with the kite finds a lot of space. Can he get away from NetTet Toilette, though? He's just trying to lifesteal off of Great Kali, I believe, and he finds the kill. NetTet wasn't able to do what he needed to there, and Team Secret get themselves 2 quick kills. Are they going to find the ace, though? They've got about 10 seconds to pick up his last kill onto NetTet Toilette. Mowgli with the Vanguard finds it. That is finally going to be an ace coming through for one of these teams. Team Secret still showing big strengths in these team fights.
They certainly are. That time, even without the initial Crucible, it is a gauntlet, a fantastic gauntlet from Mowgli to provide the adequate peel to allow Qualifier to reposition onto the backline. He is then free to get a huge amount of damage down onto Rebirth of Empire, and then you saw the follow-up stun from Palmatoro to provide even more protection, and that was something that I didn't highlight in the previous fight. Palmatoro is on point with his Verses of Judgment, because he is getting multi-man stuns consistently, and due to the lack of Crucible coming out from Catherine, Rebirth of Empire have very little ways to deal with that AoE stun, and it is enabling Team Secret to come out ahead in these engagements. So once we see that Crucible picked up, these fights might start going more towards the favor of Rebirth of Empire, but with the Kraken being started off, Team Secret want to try and prevent that from happening.
Yeah, they do indeed. I really want to know what the record number of CS is at this point, because Qualifier is just so So good at that. The Kraken is going to get stolen away, though. That is big for Rebirth of Empire. They're trying to jump on Qualifier. He does reflex block all the big stuns, though, and he's trying to kite away. There's the Verse of Judgment. It gets 2. Buys Qualifier the time he needs. Got to be careful of that burn damage from the bubble, but with the Kraken coming, it buys a lot of time for Rebirth of Empire. Great steal from Great Khali.
Certainly was. Great Carly, that is exactly what you needed to do to keep your hopes alive in this third place match. Even though you lost the fight, you take that massive objective away and it prevents Team Secret from being able to close out the game. Phenomenal stuff from them, but you see now how much easier it is for Team Secret to peel for Qualifier when you have the positional advantage, and when he is just free to do damage on the backline, how heavily one-sided these fights actually are. It was very close for Qualifier, but his mechanics, his stutter stepping was on point once again in that engagement.
You know, past this point, what does Qualifier buy? Like, he's pretty much there, right?
Yeah, he's pretty much there. He might go for... It looks like he's working towards a little bit more crit. It's tough to say. You could... There's not a huge amount of armor. I mean, there's a double Atlas Pauldron, so that armor is pretty strong. So he could go for something like a... I was going to say he could go for something like a Bones, or he could just get more crit. He could do that as well. So he's going to go for the double Tyrant's Monocle. This isn't strange. This is something that you do see a lot of on Ringos, especially in the late game. But now he's full build. Infusions... this is going to be the point at which Team Secret look to close the game.
Yeah, and they're going to be trying to find the fight right now. Qualifier is kiting beautifully. Great Kali couldn't even get on top of him. This could actually be a game-ending push based off of how strong Qualifier is. Mowgli trying to keep up fire, slowed up a little bit here. He buys time. Qualifier, what was that damage? I honestly think this might be game videos. I mean, this is crazy. Team Secret just annihilating Rebirth of Empire in this best of 3, showing that although they were knocked down yesterday a little bit, they are certainly not out of things. What an impressive series, and Qualifier, absolutely the man of the hour. Such an impressive performance.
This game, I want to give more props to the entire team, because last game it was definitely Qualifier stepping up, but this time around, you saw the teamwork aspect that Team Secret are so renowned for. The gauntlets from Mowgli were so good, dividing up the enemy team or providing protection for Qualifier to carry. It was just consistently on point. Other than that one oopsie he had in the jungle, every other gauntlet was perfect. Palmatoro consistently getting multi-man stuns off. The crucibles being used at just the right time. You even had double crucible. It was such a well-executed team composition from Team Secret, and this is just so much like the Team Secret that we're used to seeing. I was a little bit worried after their performance yesterday, but coming into the live championships, this series clearly demonstrates that Team Secret is still a top contender in Europe, and they are still a team to be feared.
I cannot wait to see them live championships. I've got to be honest. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome seeing Rebirth of Empire as well. They put up a good show, but Qualifier was just too strong for a lot of it. We've still got one more game series coming up for Europe, and it's going to be the finals. So we might even see some crazier action. Rome and Humanist, walk us through what happened in that one and set us up to move into the finals.